Well, parenting during COVID-19, or should we just say parenting in general? Of course, that's what we get to learn this morning because of the things that we've witnessed in the recent past that indeed are disturbing, or so to speak, and the negativity that is there today on how our children are being raised or how our children are behaving, or so to speak, the minors is certainly wanting and triggers that need to have a conversation revolving around that. We always say that, yes, we could have gone wrong, but it's never too late to revise on this or revisit on this, or just take a U-turn and say we went wrong, but we can fix this. Are we able to fix the situation that is at hand? This has largely been attributed to poor parenting, and that's when we get to know, well, there needs to be a conversation. We need to have our parents seated down and told, by the way, you are losing it. Why are you losing it? What can we do to ensure that it does not become dire and dire by the day? Hence the need for this conversation this morning. And joining me are guests that I know so well, and I'm impressed and happy to have them this morning because on numerous occasions we've discussed issues to do with social life, and people get out of that knowing something that they never knew. They get out of that having picked something that is indeed helpful to them. And for that, let me introduce them. Angela Nzilani, psychologist and life coach. Good to have you this morning. And Johnson, this one I always tell him I find it hard to pronounce. I don't know whether it's Chuma or Chuma. It's Chuma. It's Chumwa. Chumwa. All right. He's also an author and a life coach. Yeah. And good to have you this morning. I've read a couple of your books, which are pretty much good. And indeed, books that are, worth, of course, grabbing a copy and getting to know much about. But yes, what brings us here today? What we've seen. And by the way, even as we pick on the conversation on what we've seen, our minors doing of late, I don't think I need to expand some more because of time, but there's one report that we have here today on the papers that speaks of the rising numbers of HIV cases on our minors. This could have been triggered by what we witnessed today. We're looking at the shadow pandemics and how our girls have been impregnated, and they're supposed to go back to school in January. We do not even know how. We're looking at the recent cases where we've seen about approximately 150 minors also being apprehended, doing terrible acts. And these also have been driven by our very own oldies, and we ask ourselves, just what gets into the mind of an old person to host such a party for young turks? What is bedeviling us? You can start.
We have it's because of a parenting crisis.
Is it so?
Yes. And this is the missing link. And this is where we are getting it wrong. Many parents and caregivers are missing in action. All right. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. Train up a child. So a parent is a trainer, a parent is a coach, a parent is an instructor. So when you fail in these roles, then you're going to have children who don't have a value system.
Yeah.
And so they will pick up anything that comes their way. They will have no shocks to withstand any pressure that comes their way. So it is just a parenting crisis. And parents don't know actually their role. They don't know. They're clueless. I can't imagine your daughter goes out for more than half a day and you don't even know where they are. And they have gone to these orgies. They are partying. Actually, let's call it what it is. It's like they're shooting porn movies. I mean, videos. You're a child. That should never happen. And that's why we are here to have this discourse, because we need to call it what it is. And this is what can I call it? An alarm bell.
And
it's a wake-up call.
Yes, indeed. As a wake-up call, you acknowledge that parents have no idea of how to go about it, maybe because of the generational differences that we witness today. But after all, they're parents. So if anything goes wrong, the blame is squarely put on them. But then we'd ask ourselves this. We really, or maybe our parents are really are out of touch. So one would want to ask, where did the rain start beating us? Why would we assume that, yes, indeed, the parents are out of touch, the parents have no idea of how to go about it? Yet, at some point in time, they also had parents who were actively involved in their lives.
In this situation, things are quite different because we have the pandemic and the parents still has to work. They have to look for money, they have to fend for their families. But, and now we had the teachers who are taking a lot of responsibility in taking care of the kids for us. And I speak about this topic with a lot of passion because I'm a parent myself and actually I'm a mother to a teenage. And I see the challenge, but we cannot ignore the fact that it is our responsibility.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware that what our children are going to become is going to be a sum total of what we put in them. Because there must be, the consistent caregiver, what the caregiver is giving to these children. And now it is solely the parents' responsibility because the teachers are nowhere to be seen. The churches are closed. And even if they are open right now, we are still scared of sending your children to the church because of the crowd, and closed spaces. So there's a lot of fear, but the parents don't know how to manage it. So I think it's parents first of all need to understand the need, and we need to also to maybe come together as parents, work as a community, because when you have a crisis, when you're faced with new things, you have to look for new strategies of working or of doing things together. So you can work as a community, like in America, in these developed countries, you cannot leave children alone. They have to be managed by somebody, by an adult, and people gather together and agree that I'm working this day, I'm working this day, so because you're free, take the children and take care of them this day. But here we are not even friends. You don't even know your neighbor. You don't even know what they're up to. We don't trust each other. So you feel that maybe leaving the children alone is a better option. But trust me, it is not, because when you leave the children alone, they are going to be influenced by others. They are going to be influenced by the internet. They are going to be influenced by, even the phones and laptops, because even studying online is not really, when they are not managed, when they are not supervised, is not really being of very much, importance, because they are not controlled. When you don't control a young person,
I don't know what control would mean in this case, because you'll find that there's a parent who has 3 kids in the house, and there's a teacher who has 40-something kids in one classroom. The teacher is managing them. The parent has not been able to manage them, to sit them down for them to go through those online sessions. Just exactly what is managing. And MACU today, while it's very unfortunate to note, teachers are celebrating. Well, it is not a happy thing to see, the students that you teach, your girls or your children or your boys, plunging into disaster. But reality is that they remind their parents, you keep saying the teachers do not do it. It's like a time to strive and say, what, this is it. You need to acknowledge that we are here.
Linda, you cannot micromanage a human being.
Okay.
They need to have an internal managing system. And that comes down to discipline. It comes down to the values you have instilled in this child, such that they can take personal responsibility for their actions. Once you do that, you can be sure, even if your child is far from you, they are responsible. They can behave responsibly. They can act responsibly because you have instilled those values. I have a friend, a good friend.
Yes.
He is a school principal, and sometime last year the daughter, flew to Dubai with a friend. They are twins, not teenagers. They are twins, and I asked him, "Are you sure when your daughter goes to Dubai, because she was to be there for quite some good time? Are you sure she will be safe?" He said this, "My daughter does not suffer foods."
Wow.
Yes. Nobody can influence my daughter negatively. That tells you that that man, that man and woman, their parents have instilled family values in those children. Nobody can control them otherwise. Nobody can mislead them. So they have an internal control. Yeah. So that is the best control you can ever have.
Okay.
In my house, that's what I do to my daughter, 6 years old. Just slowly, you instill discipline. For example, I cannot wrap my mind around a child who is going, to party a whole night. I can't imagine. In other words, this parent has failed to form this child.
Why do I want to differ with that? And I mean, I beg to differ one, and of course I stand corrected for that matter. Let's just loop in Angie. And Angie, 44 in one room doing whatever it is that they are doing, and they are caught. And looking at them, would you confidently say that 44 parents failed, or 44 guardians literally were not able to at least guide these children in the right path? None of them, and not even 2, 3, or 4 that would have done the right thing.
Let me tell you one thing about parenting. Sometimes you cannot be in control, completely in control. Yeah. But we have to keep trying. We have to keep talking to our children. And even after they've made mistakes, we have to accept them. We have to bring them back home. We have to take care of them, because even us as adults, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
I was brought up by very good parents, and I have made mistakes. I have done things that I know were cautioned by my parents not to do them, but I still did them because I grew up to become an individual with choices. And things, you cannot be wholly in control, but you must, as a parent, be ready to accept that my child has done this, but I can still communicate with my child. And the best way to bring them back is, you communicate with them. Yeah. Don't talk at them, talk with them.
All right.
Learn to have a conversation with your children. Learn to have a relationship with your children, because if you don't have a relationship with them, they are going to have relationships out there. They are going to learn what it is that you are supposed to teach them from the wrong places. Okay. If it is about maybe sex talk, you should be able to age appropriately talk to your children in a way that they understand. Okay. If it is about, whatever it is in life, you must be able to, as a parent, first be the one to take responsibility to talk to these children. So we can't say that they really failed. There are those who have done their job, but there is influence out there. But it doesn't mean that we cast our children out. We forgive them. We learn to even ourselves, grow ourselves, be at a place where we know that we as well have made mistakes. And we as well have, we grow to a place where they can also trust us. We become a source of information where they know, I can go to mom, I can go to dad and talk to them about this. Because if they don't trust us, they will trust anything and anyone out there.
Just how tough should a parent be? Because, I'm just trying to relate this, with what was there back then when I was growing up, and how my parents would handle me. And genuinely, there are times that really there was no room for us to even sit down and have a conversation in regards to that. First of all, it was shameful. First of all, it was an aspect where you're a child, you're not supposed to discuss this. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that I'm very good of a grown-up person, or so to speak. I also had my fair share of challenges, and the things that I did that probably I would have regretted and all that. But here I am today. I'm not badly off. I mean, then we ask ourselves, when we're talking about instilling these disciplines, just how hard can a parent get? Sometimes you're told, don't get so hard, have a time to have a conversation with them. Sometimes people argue that actually the fact that we've lost this aspect of, ensuring that we use the road is the reason why we are having our babies at this level where they are. That is actually not good. So, just what needs to happen in between here, so at least we get it right?
To get it right does not necessarily mean you go rough. If you go rough, this child might resort to rebellion. You use soft power.
Okay.
Use power softly, and to win them to you. Let them see a friend in you, not just someone who is trying to make their life hard.
Okay.
Talk to them, show them, correct them, show them the right way of doing things. Even when they deviate, bring them back on track. Show them still, and don't get weary of doing that. With a lot of love, do it with a lot of love. Don't be if you are a military man, don't bring don't export the same to your family. Don't bring orders there. They don't work. They don't work. It is only love that works. Your son you might be doing all that you're supposed to do as a parent, but your child is deviating. You don't give up. You continue doing that. Like as you said, you can do all that you're supposed to do as a parent, but still this child goes astray.
Okay.
It happens. It is happening. But you keep doing what you must do. And that is parenting. You don't give up. You don't scale down your efforts. Keep parenting. That is what you do. So use soft power.
Okay, soft power, as you use, striking a balance is very important. And probably that's where the problem comes in, striking a balance on when to be hard and when to be soft, striking a balance on, just who to handle this and how you handle them, based on the differences of age during the times and all that, especially at this time of COVID-19 where a lot of adjustments have been made. For instance, you might say that, well, the parents have been absent in the lives of the kids, but right now they're there because most of them are actually working from home, and the kids are there and everything. So it gets to a point where one is confused on how best to handle this, handle the other thing without having to raise any level of conflict. So in this particular case, how best can a parent come in then to strike that balance generally on what is happening in the environment? Because some of them are the kids are actually psychologically imbalanced, especially at this time of COVID-19, and generally what it is that is happening in their life, especially also on the aspect of transitioning from point A to point B, transitioning from childhood to teenhood and all that.
I think parents, first of all, need to take care of themselves, because you need to first understand yourself, to be at a place where you're fit mentally, and mental health, being mindful is key in learning to even take care of another person. So even your whole household, it's not just with the children, even with your spouse, your friends and all that. So you need to be at a place where you as a person are very mindful about what you're doing, you're very conscious about what you're doing, to be able, and also to be conscious about what is happening around you, and understand that this is a pandemic for everyone. It's not just for us adults, it's also for the children. They have their own interpretations about what is happening. They have their own feelings. So we need to understand, even they are also emotional beings. So being able to understand yourself first, you can be able to now take care of others. So that way you can now strike a balance and get to understand these people, what they are going through, communicate with them, get to learn how is it affecting them. What is it? And communication should be constant. It's not just once a month you get to sit down with your children and talk. It should be constant. Every other day you're talking about how was your day, what did you experience, what did you feel about certain maybe circumstance. So you need to understand that these children have you now to refer to. It's not for information, for whatever, for emotional stability, for whatever, everything that they need to have from you. So you need, as a parent, to be aware of yourself first before you can even be able to take care of another person. And we need to also be aware of what is around us, and mostly it is a lot of influence from outside. So what is it that they are doing with this influence? So be able to strike a balance between online studies and online, information that is out there. Some of it is wrong, some of it is correct, but we should be in a relationship with our children to be able to speak to them and them to be able to speak to us. So I think first of all, self-care is quite important to be able to take care of another person.
Okay, and speaking of which, the environment. Let's speak of the environment. Well, we could be looking at parenting. I mean, also the environment is crucial, and over time it has been proven to be, a factor that could determine the direction that a baby takes when they grow up. And I don't know whether this is a good example for, looking at the aspect of environment. But again, like you've heard, many have said that, or evidently, so to speak, our students are much better, or our children are much better while in school, as opposed to, when they're at home and probably they have got nothing to do, nothing much to do. They're just lazing around, the devil's workshop eventually it ends up being. What's in the environment that is very crucial in parenting and in raising a child?
Parents have a role in creating an atmosphere at home that would cause them to grow holistically. They need to they need to have first a loving environment. They need to be loving. They need to be kind. They need to show them unconditional love, and they need to have them engaged. They need to be love in that house and laughter. There is need to
such is not always the case in schools. The school is a little bit of a tough environment, but most of the people come out of that place good.
Rules and regulations.
Yes.
So you are regulated.
Should we borrow that and have that at home? If at all it works.
We can borrow, but not everything.
Okay.
Not the kiboko.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't borrow the kiboko. In Uganda they say chiboko. And don't in school teachers can be rough. Because there are some students who can really provoke.
Yes.
They provoke you until the spirit of slap comes upon you, and you just have to hold your hands like this.
Yeah.
So create that loving parent-child environment, and make sure you bond well with the child. Bond. Create those bonding moments. Create time together. Talk to them. Ask them how they are doing. Let them have a friend in you, not just a father and a mother. Be there for them. They need your presence, not your presence. Someone said that. So create that lovely home environment, one they can long to be, even when the students, when they close school, they don't want to go home. They want to stay in school, because home is a battleground. So create that enabling environment. Pray together. Affirm them. Affirm your children. Tell them you're doing great. Man, son, son, good morning, man. You are looking great, man. You are going to do exploits.
Right.
I mean, provide that environment. And once you do that, it is very hard for a child who is getting this love and parents' understanding to deviate. It is very hard. It is very hard.
Right.
And also you need to schedule their days. Some said we went out because home was very boring. How can home be very boring until you go and do destructive things? So schedule their day to make sure they don't have a lot of time in their hands. They don't know what to do with it. Enroll them in Kajembe Circle. When they shout, let them go to the farm. Let them scrub the house. Let them do stuff with their hands. Teach them responsibility, work, and they will have no time to converse with the devil, so to speak.
All right, and I know you want to respond to that, and even as you respond to it, I'd love to also know that in as much as we're talking about this, there's the internet, there's the social media, which you raised at some point in time. Do you suppose that hugely it is also contributing to the ills that we witness today? Because in as much as you put them in this home setup and tell them that this is all that there is in life, eventually they're treated to the environment out there, and the environment out there is a little bit harsh in what it offers.
As much as we want to be their friends, and the parents cannot really be a friend. They are a parent, so they need to understand that this is my parent. this is not just my friend.
Yeah.
But now put your parenting skills across in a friendly way.
Okay.
But we must be firm as parents. We must be firm and get to put them, to let them know that they too have responsibilities. They too should build a future for themselves. They need to grow themselves to a point where they will be self-reliant in future. So we cannot say that because there's internet, we have TV, so let them watch TV the whole day. The rules must still be there. Okay. And maybe I want to defy what he's saying about putting the cane down. The Bible says that
if you spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Exactly. So why should you defy even the Bible?
Don't punish.
And
Correct.
Punishment is punishment at the right time. You know, when a child does wrong, they should be punished. They should they should
know that this is a mistake, and
there's repercussions for their choices. Every choice has consequences. So they should know, even if it is grounding them for a whole week, taking the TV away for a whole week, or for some time. And we need to also be a source of direction for them into what they can watch, what is good for their age for them to watch. We need to introduce new things for them to watch. We need to watch family movies with them, you know, have time with our children that we can have things to do together. When we were young in the village, we used to build cars with, these milk boxes.
Yes.
So we would do, creative things. Become creative with your children. Buy a drawing book and let's see who draws best. Do something creative with your children. Not just letting them do their own thing and you do your own thing. At the end of the day, that money you're looking for is not going to replace your child when the child is lost. So we need to be very careful about our choices as parents. Know that we are the ones who are nurturing them. The teachers are not here right now, but we are here, and we have to work also as a community. I should not see my neighbor's child doing wrong and not correct them. And if this parent whose child I have corrected has issues, then I will sit down with this parent and just explain that this is how it is. So it's not about, I'm not correcting your child because I hate your child or I just want the best for your child, because if your child is good, my child too will be good, because there is that peer pressure. And we cannot alienate them completely and say that they stay indoors and, they never interact with other children.
It's unfair also.
It's not even possible. So we have to be, play the front row into our children's behaviors and whatever we are putting into them.
We barely have time to expound more on this, but I'd love to ask this. We're looking at the special case of COVID-19 and, cases that have been, cases that are out of the usual. And so today we learned so much out of COVID-19. But even before we get to that level of addressing the aspect of parenting when at a time of crisis, if we all got it right from the word go in terms of general parenting, do you suppose that the problems that we witness or culminate today out of the pandemics, out of the crisis, would be something that would be easy to deal with?
Easily.
Okay.
We would have minimal issues in the family. The pandemic has confined families. This causes pressure, and when you under pressure, you can boil, and many families are boiling. There's so much pressure because the kids are home, and they are not going to anywhere anytime soon, except for grade 4, class 8, and fourth formers. So the rest of the lot is home since March. You can imagine. I'm told they are just growing and eating and growing fatter, and parents are even complaining. The kids have so much time in their hands. They have watched TV until it is boring. Those in-town setups, you cannot go gardening. You cannot. You cannot go to look after the cows and lives. So they have moved around. They know every corner in that plot.
Yeah.
They know every rat in that plot. So they are like, no, we need to explore more. We need to explore now more stuff outside the house, because the house is so, I mean, it is so boring in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is for parents to devise new ways. They need to work smarter. They need to outsmart the pandemic and come up with creative ways of containing them,
Okay.
and making sure that the pandemic does not beat them to the gum.
We still are coming from a phase where parents looked at their kids as a burden. How do we change that as we wind up in 30 seconds or so?
Children should be looked at as blessings,
Okay.
because generations have to continue, and the first responsibility that you need to make sure you achieve is taking care of your children before you can even get out there and take care of anyone else. If your family fails, if your children fail, then you have failed. Even if the world sees you as a star, there is the heavens.
Wow.
Who has given you this responsibility of taking care of these children. And if you're not able to take care of them, or you don't have the means, you don't know how, you don't have the know-how, you can source for information online. There's a lot of information online. There's a lot of webinars for young people that are going on. You can even enroll these children into such programs. We have coaches who are out there to offer free information, free coaching for children, including myself. I do that.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. So get in touch with these people. Get online, just look for, and even we have these people even from outside this country.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you can't say that my child is just idle.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you can put in these children. So you need to just try and work on their attitude, the way you want to work on yourself. This child can also take the initiative with your direction to work on their own attitude as well. I would want to recommend parents to take initiative to instill affirmations. Children affirming themselves, and there's a lot online that they can even get.
How about you take advantage of that? We say that yes, we could have gone wrong, but we can always take that U-turn and fix things. Angela Nzilani, psychologist and life coach, and Johnson Jumwa.
You got it.
I got it right, yes. Author and life coach, thank you so much for that. We'll keep having more and more of these conversations. That's where we wind up this session. Thank you so much for keeping me company right from the word go. I get to see you later in the afternoon. My name is Linda Alela. This is Morning Cafe. Bye-bye.